This commercial facility, as large as an Aeon mall, is mostly vacant. It has tenants, but it's nearly abandoned. Even though there were more than 80 tenants during its prime, it has decreased to just one store. Actually, this place has repeatedly. The plans were reviewed and opening was delayed, then shelved. A Toyota subsidiary left it abandoned for over a decade. They abandoned the land. The hastily opened commercial facility turned out to be a spectacular failure. How did things end up like this? This time, it's a huge failure with lots of vacant tenants. It's empty. I'll introduce the commercial facility Grand Mall in more detail than anywhere else. I'm currently at Mizumaki Station on the Kagoshima Main Line in Mizumaki Town, Onga District, Fukuoka Prefecture. I've come from Osaka to Fukuoka. Like the locals, it's not a typical tourist destination for travelers. You may be confused, but I'll do my best since it's work. I'm not sure if this signboard is only used on the Kagoshima Main Line or not, but the station name sign is simple and cool, just the way I like it. Mizumaki Station is about 35 minutes from Kokura Station and about an hour from Hakata Station. You can get to both with a single train on the Kagoshima Main Line, so even though it takes some time, it's still pretty convenient. It's about a 15-minute walk from Mizumaki Station to Grand Mall, so it doesn't feel that far. If you go out to the main street and walk straight, you'll get there. I'd like to walk, but I'm filming. It was extremely cold that day, so I rented a car through a car-sharing service instead of walking. Well, that's half a joke and half true. The access to this commercial facility from the Hakata area is really bad. If I rent a car from Mizumaki Station, it means I'll be coming from the Hakata direction, so I decided to go by car on purpose. The Grand Mall is situated along National Road 3. Despite being on the opposite side, its large size suggests it's accessible by making a right turn. Let's take National Route 3. Let's keep going. As we move forward, I can see the Lamu sign on the right side. That's the landmark for the Grand Mall. Now, where can I make a right turn? There wasn't one. I thought I could make a right turn, but I couldn't, so I ended up taking a ridiculously long detour again. I'm back on National Route 3. This time I just have to turn left, but there's no sign for Grand Mall, so I have no idea where I'm supposed to turn. Turning left was the correct direction, I'm glad. So I finally arrived at Grand Mall. I took this kind of route to show how hard it is to get in and how confusing it is from the main road, but actually you can get there much faster. If you turn left here, it connects to the backside of Grand Mall. As expected, no signs are installed. Honestly, if you just use navigation, you can find it right away, but even then, it makes you feel uneasy. There really aren't any signs. Since it's a large commercial facility, I really wish they would put up some signs, and it's kind of surrounded by trees. The commercial facility is not clearly visible. I just parked my car anywhere in this huge commercial facility. Repainting the walls black, pink, and gray makes it a regular AEON mall, at least for now. Let me give you an overview of Grand Mall. Grand Mall is a commercial facility that opened in May 2010. It's a two-story building with a site area of about 69,600 square meters and a total floor area of about 52,300 square meters. I know just hearing the numbers might not make much sense, but it's actually really spacious. It's about the size of one Fukuoka PayPay Dome. It's about the size of a smaller Aeon Mall. I'll list a few Aeon Malls that are about the same size, so please compare them with the Aeon Mall that's relatively close to you. It seems like the catchphrase has changed a few times, but right now it's something like, I want to interact with everyone more, I want to have more fun with everyone, I want to be closer to you. That's the message they're sending. If anyone watching this video has any Menhera stories, please let us know in the comments. It's wide open. It's kind of sad when a commercial facility has a catchphrase like this. If you really want to interact with people, you should bring in more tenants first. Let's examine the overall picture of Grand Mall. There are tenant areas outside as well, but they're currently vacant. The business hours are from 7 o'clock, but it's unclear until what time. Everything except the supermarket is sealed off, which feels a bit sad. Not yet, I haven't even entered the store, but I'm already getting excited. When you go in, you're greeted by a vast open space, and there aren't many people around. It's a strange sight, with only the Lamu supermarket open and nothing else operating. Upon entering, the shuttered area on the right was formerly occupied by Daiso. Despite 100 yen shops typically drawing large crowds, this one is deserted. 100 yen shops usually survive in commercial facilities. But this closure is serious. Glad to see Lamu still doing well. Let's move on. The walled area on the left is the former location of Saizeria. There was a display introducing various facilities around Mizumaki town with the words Onko Earthquake written all over it. On the other side, the shutters were down, so we couldn't go any further. Beyond this point used to be an area with restaurants and specialty shops, but after a series of store closures, the entire floor seems to have been shut down. With no other choice, I went further in and found a small arcade, which seemed to be there out of pity. It's located along the big road. Plants were placed there, similar to those used to conceal love hotels. There were a few A machines placed there. Even these A machines, which hardly require any labor costs, have been withdrawn. There was some kind of notice posted, so I took a look at it. After A was withdrawn, it seems the area was used as a rest space. By rest space, I mean, what does it mean when a tenant withdraws? By the way, the entire second floor was closed off and I couldn't go there. It seems there used to be a food court and a bowling alley right above here. I can't do anything, so I'll go outside. This is the former main gate. There's a rather suspicious sounding name written here, Agrebo Biotechnology Center. Initially, rumors suggested it was being used as a banana plantation, but that appears to be false. It seems they're growing plant seedlings here, though the reason for going through such trouble is unclear. Commercial facilities. I don't really understand why they would take up the very center for this, but I guess it's better than just leaving it empty. Still, it feels like a waste to put a facility that regular people can't enter right in the middle. There are some pictures of bread here, and as you might have guessed, there used to be a bakery here. Next to it, it looks like there's an amusement facility. It's not like you walk in and immediately find the amusement facility, so I'll check it out later. Next to that, there's a place where you can learn about computers and programming. It seems like there are also facilities and a human resources support center. Beyond the amusement facility, the management and parent organization are the same, and it looks like everything is part of the Kitakyushu Innovation Center tenants. Now let's go into the entrance with the amusement facility sign. Once inside, there are a decent number of people, but there are also open spaces and it's great. This place originally was... It seems there used to be an apparel store here. The place where the amusement facility is now used to be occupied by NAFCO. The building had a home improvement store on the first floor and a furniture store on the second, occupying a sizable space. On the right, there was an escalator to the second floor, now completely closed off, which is sad. The former specialty store area remains in the back, but it's no longer accessible. It's nice to look at the current situation while imagining how so many people used to come here in the past, isn't it? There's another small game center right next to the amusement facility, which may explain its location. It seems like there's a certain demand, as there were customers there. Behind the escalator, unused machines were placed as if they were being hidden. I wonder why. Apparently, this place took over the machines from the game center that used to be in the Grand Mall, and the ones that don't fit in the space are just left unused and abandoned. There was a floor map that hasn't been updated in who knows how long. There's a notice saying the center court or the middle area is closed for renovations, but actually the whole place is closed. The floor map layout resembles an Aeon Mall and seems user-friendly, but I find it strangely complex. Actually, I think it's really great though. The first floor tenants, excluding Lamu, are listed but unhelpful since they're all closed now. Please note, I'll make a simple diagram of the current floor layout. So it's like this. On the right is Lamu, in the middle is the place making stocks, and on the left it's the Innovation Center. From here, I'll quickly go over everything from the opening of the Grand Mall to its closure. The plan to build a commercial facility here actually dates back even further to the 1990s. The predecessor of the Grand Mall was actually Seikatsu. It was a commercial facility called the Fortress City Mercado, Seikatsu Fortress City. The reason for the strange name being included in the facility's name was related to its location. A fortress city refers to a town surrounded by walls or moats to protect the city and its people from outside enemies. It seems that many fortress cities were built mainly in Europe from ancient times to the Middle Ages. Grand Mall was really hard to get to by car, wasn't it? This area, called a transportation fortress, is located at a junction of national highways. Surrounded by trees, the facility is hidden from the outside, making it difficult to locate. This intentional design, turning disadvantages into advantages, is even more apparent when viewed on Google Earth. It seems they've included the term Fortress City. This is the lifestyle in the fortress city of Mercado. In 1993, Daifuku Kosan, a real estate company from Kitakyushu, announced plans to open a store. It was right after the bubble burst, but things were still going strong. It was a time when the remnants of the bubble still lingered. In 1994, it fully opened as the largest multi-purpose commercial facility in Kyushu. The planned total floor area was about 110,000 square meters. At nearly double the current total floor space, it was set to be Kyushu's largest commercial facility. So, if it's about twice the current size, that means they were planning a commercial facility with about 4 floors. Initially, Toys R Us was certainly planning to attend. Plans included 300 specialty stores and an attached accommodation facility. However, during planning, after securities research, it was clear this was impossible. I don't know exactly what happened, but in 1994 the scale was drastically reduced. They changed the plan and decided to open it as Mercato Mall. Hypercenter Osada, a major discount supermarket, is confirmed to be in the Kyushu region. They reviewed the business scale as a facility with 13 specialty stores, but repeated setbacks occurred. Due to the postponement of the opening and the bankruptcy of the developer, the plan was cancelled. In 2008, Shinko Real Estate acquired this land, which was intended to be the location of Kyushu's biggest commercial complex. The developer Zex acquired it. Next is a large commercial facility with a total floor area of about 50,000 square meters. The plan to open as Hilltop Terrace was revived again. The total floor area of Hilltop Terrace isn't much different from the current Grand Mall. However, just like Mercato, this one also, the opening was delayed multiple times due to factors such as the Lehman shock's impact. Due to the global recession, Zex's business deteriorated, forcing them to let it go. In 2008, Toyota Tsusho, the Toyota Group's general trading company, acquired the business and proceeded with the store expansion plan. Initially, the plan was for Home Center Seidaiki, which used to operate mainly in Western Japan, and Sun Life to open as tenants. However, Sun Life withdrew early, and Seidaiki also withdrew from opening in the Grand Mall because they had already opened a store nearby. Toyota Tsusho partially opened the facility ahead of schedule in May 2010 and fully opened it in the fall of the same year. They announced a policy to do so. The originally planned name was Hilltop Terrace, but it was changed to Grand Mall. The first phase opened in May 2010 and the second phase opened in December of the same year. There were so many twists and turns. I think it's impressive that Toyota Tsusho decided to take over the operation and that they managed to get it open. Each tenant was set to open their stores. Daikisi and Sun Life's withdrawal was a sign that things were not going well. It opened with a departure. None of the tenants were interesting at all. It seems that the building itself was constructed in May 2009. It had already been a year until the first phase opened. At the time of the first phase opening, there were only 3 stores, including the first Lamu supermarket in Kyushu. Having only 3 stores in such a huge building was pretty tough. Even during the second phase, which was originally planned to be a full opening, only 2 stores, Nafco and Saizeriya, opened, so most of the floor continued to be surrounded by shutters. There were only 5 stores in total, but I think it was a big deal that popular stores like Nafco and Saizeriya opened there. If Nafco and Saizeriya were opening stores, we thought maybe we should open one too. There should be a lot of businesses too. In July 2011, as many as 61 specialty stores opened, and we successfully reached the 3rd phase of opening. Officially, this was treated as the grand opening. Are there any other cases where the grand opening happens more than a year after the first phase of opening? Saizeriya and NAFCO's influence was a factor, but the dull tenants led to a significant rent reduction. Personally, I think that's a possibility too. The catchphrase when it first opened was, "See, excitement is close by, 365 AFP by out." As always, I don't really understand the catchphrases of facilities or companies. Also, it's the area above where the light and wind sway. It seems the theme was a close-knit mall, and by the way, even at this point still, there were some vacant tenants, but the number of stores eventually increased to around 80, filling most vacancies. The original plan for Mercato was a commercial facility like an Aeon Mall, targeting an even broader market area. That was the plan, but Grand Mall intentionally made each tenant unique in order to differentiate itself from nearby Aeon-style shopping malls. This awareness of differentiation is also reflected in the tenants they attracted. Many of the specialty stores were local businesses or tenants opening their first store in Kyushu, which attracted a lot of attention. When it first opened, commercials were aired and many people visited, but the attention didn't last at all and quickly faded. One by one, the tenants disappeared. It was only a short time after the grand opening. 3 years later, the center part of the second floor was closed off, making it impossible to go between the east and west areas, which didn't make any sense. For customers, it became very inconvenient, and for the stores, it hurt their sales. Sales would probably drop even further, so the more they open up the area, the better. There are more places that need maintenance, and from the management's perspective, I guess they wanted to cut costs even a little. Still, I don't think closing off the center is a good idea. Despite their efforts, tenants continue to leave. In 2015, key tenant NAFCO closed. By 2021, the only tenant operating for a while was Lamu. At its peak, there were 80 tenants, but within 10 years, it was down to just one. Even though it was a commercial facility that opened prematurely, it's still really sad. Even when I look at recent materials from Toyota Tsusho, there's no mention of Grand Mall at all. When I looked into it, it had been sold to a real estate company in Tokyo in the late 2010s. So Tsusho has completely given up on operating it and let it go. So next, why? I'll explain why Grand Mall failed. First of all, the access is just too bad. This is the biggest reason. In the first half of the video, I showed footage of driving to Grand Mall by car, and as expected from a place that's called a transportation fortress, its disadvantages were on full display. On top of that, there's a railway line behind it and no major roads. I apologize for using strong words, but honestly, it's just hopelessly unsuitable for building a commercial facility. It's the location. Again, it's hard to see the commercial facility from the main road, so unless you're specifically planning to go to Grand Mall, you'll probably just pass by. Well, even if you do plan to go, you might still end up passing by. And then there was competition with other stores like Aeon Mall and Shoppers Mall, which were already nearby. It lost out to the competition with other commercial facilities. The difference compared to other commercial facilities, by focusing too much on differentiation, there weren't any attractive tenants from the consumer's perspective, so it couldn't make people want to visit. Well, this could be solved by simply changing the tenants. They failed to attract any legal tenants, resulting in numerous vacancies. Since it ended up being empty, we can't say this was necessarily the cause. Grand Mall was Toyota Tsusho's first time operating a complex commercial facility. I think the lack of operational know-how was part of it, but in this case, I think 90% of the problem was the location. They repeatedly let down the expectations of the local residents. Given the location's nature, they opened it. Toyota Tsusho isn't really at fault. The company currently operating Grand Mall has stopped running it as a commercial facility and made a major change in direction. As I mentioned at the beginning, only the Lamu store is still open, so it hasn't completely lost its role as a commercial facility. However, a large part of the facility has now been newly opened as the Innovation Center Biotechnology Center. Some activities of the Innovation Center are also taking place there. It was a weekday, but there were a fair number of people in the facility. However, right in the center, the Biotechnology Center prevents travel between the activity facility and Lamu. I wish we could go back and forth. Also, the second floor is completely closed off and remains that way. The first floor is almost fully occupied, but there are still places that can be used. I think if the locations of the Biotechnology Center and the Innovation Center were switched, it would be easier to use as a commercial facility. But why is this commercial? Is it because the facility has closed off the center or has facilities that prohibit public entry that it's having such a hard time? This likely indicates that management has no anticipation of reviving the Grand Mall as a commercial facility. I'm really looking forward to seeing how they'll make use of the second floor from now on, since the Grand Mall is quite large. The structure of both the Biotechnology Center and the Innovation Center is simple, resembling an Aeon Mall. I think that was the reason we moved in, but the rest is pretty empty. There might be some aspects of commercial facilities that we can use as a reference. That's all for this video. See you in the next one.